Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish, especially toppers. So if you're new here, I've been doing a series over the past couple months where I've been showcasing some of my favorite different types of toppers. Specifically, let's see, where did I start? I know I've done my favorite glitter toppers, I've done my favorite shimmer toppers, I've done some of my favorite like single color flake toppers, and now this video that you have clicked into is about my favorite multichrome flake toppers. I've put a link in the description to that playlist in case you want to go back and check any of those out. But for context, I really love toppers. I love the versatility of them and the ability for toppers to give you like to really give you a different look for your nail polish in ways that you might not have considered doing before. And so when I set out to do this video on my favorite multichrome flake toppers, just like the other ones that I've done before, I thought it was going to be the case where I had like all these different types of multichrome flake toppers, and I would be like, and here's why I like this one, here's why I like that one. But y'all, it turns out that I really just have two different main types of multichrome flake toppers. One is more of like a I would say like a fall brown kind of autumn blend. I don't know what this is. Why am I doing my hands like this? And the other one is more of like a blue purple blend kind of thing. And so where this video is going today is going to be more of me showing you the differences between similar types of multichrome flake toppers from various brands, namely looking at something I know I talk about a lot in these videos, but flake density. And by that I mean just how packed into the polish are these flakes, or like glitter particles if you're doing like a glitter topper, for example. Why this matters is that you know, depending on your preference, depending on the kind of overall manicure look that you're going for, it can sometimes be the case where you want to have more sparse flake appearance. I am just really talking with my hands today. I am so sorry. But sometimes you might want it to be more sparse. Other times you might want those flakes to be a lot more packed in, so where like you can technically still see that you're looking at flakes, but because they're so concentrated together, it's more of a kind of look that can give you benefits in other ways that I'll explain further into the video. And so that's what I want to focus on today, helping you to see that, like, let's say if you are someone who also has a lot of different flake toppers in your collection and you're looking for ways to try to figure out when you might want to use one over another, hopefully this video can give you some ideas for that. Or if you are looking to buy some multichrome flake toppers and you're like, hey, I was already going to make a purchase from this brand or that brand, but is this flake topper from them one that I might want to purchase? This is where I hope that this can be helpful for you as well. So like if it's the case that you were hoping for a more sparse flake topper, but then the one that you were considering ends up being a lot more densely packed, then you know, you'll know in advance, like, oh, maybe that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's going to be like the first couple parts of this. And then at the end, I'm going to use some of my polish making supplies to create my own flake topper. This one is not going to be like multichrome in the sense of that the flakes individually are color shifting, but rather I'm blending together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I pulled out like 6 different colors of flakes that I have in my collection of polish supplies, and I want to make it multi-chrome in the sense that there's like multiple colors in there. So we'll see how that goes. So as always, if you are wanting to follow along, feel free to pull out swatch sticks, a swatch wheel. If you are just getting cozy and doing your own nails, I hope that's going well for you as well. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Before we get into the multi-chromes, I thought it might be fun for me to start by starting a new thing where I show you all what's on my nails, especially because on this channel I talk a lot about how fun it can be to layer polishes together, and I'm realizing that 90+% of the time I never just wear a single polish on its own, and hopefully this can help y'all get some more ideas for combinations. Also ignore this brown smudge right there. I got that as I was like preparing and swatching some things out for this video, but other than that, here is what I've got today. Which nail is best? I've had a few recent breaks, so hopefully they all start catching up. But yeah, this is what I've got here. This really nice reptile-like moment. I started with a layer of a coat of Crack Polish's Ooze, just to be able to for like opacity purposes, to get to full opacity quicker, and then also to be able to preserve more of other polishes that are maybe slightly more expensive and that come in, say, smaller bottles. For instance, this I followed with 1 coat of Emily DeMolly's Behind Again. This one, I think if I wanted to build it up to the level of opacity that I prefer, I'd have to do at least 2, if not 3 coats of this. Whereas like to get which of my nails, let's go with this one, whereas to get like this level of opacity, this is really just like 1 coat of Ooze, 1 coat of Behind Again, and then I finished that up with my favorite. You all know my voice just changed because of how much I love this one. Crack Polish's Mascara Flakes, and this is the end result. Also, I know that there's been a whole thing lately in the nail polish community about black flakes no longer really being available, and mascara flakes recently got sold out on Crack's website. I recently placed an order with Holo Taco and purchased their black flake taco topper, so I'll be doing once that arrives, I'll be doing a quick video comparison for that for any of you who might have missed out on mascara flakes and might want to see how something like black flake taco can compare. Okay, let's get into our multi-chrome toppers. First, we're gonna do ones that are in this kind of like brown, orange, fall kind of mood here. And like I said in the intro, I think it can often be the case where if you're looking at just the polishes that are available on a single maker's website, you might see like, oh, okay, yeah, they've got a brown multi-chrome flake topper, let me get that one. But it may not be until you do head-to-head comparisons across brands that you realize just where some of these differences might exist. And so that's really what drove me to do this video. So we're gonna start with, so let me show you just these, like looking at them in the bottle. So I'm gonna rotate these to where we're just seeing the polishes without any logos or anything to block that. You can see we've got a lot of the common brown themes here, but one of the things I'll point out, so I should also tell you what these are called, that would help. On the left, we've got KBShimmer's Take It or Leaf It. In the middle, we have Crack Polish's Pile of Leaves. And then on the right, we have BCB Lacquer, Come Little Children 2.0. Now, as far as just looking at them in the bottle and seeing what some of the main color differences are, I will say that to my eye, what stands out to me is that on the left, KBShimmer has more of a darker brown color with the flakes. in the middle with Cracked Pile of Leaves. This is where I'm starting to see more hints of pink that are mixed into here, which is quite lovely. And then on the right with the BCB Lacquers one, this is where we have more of a predominantly mid-tone brown color throughout. And you can probably already see just in the bottle how much more tightly packed in these flakes are. So let's go ahead and do some swatching. And as always with these swatches, I have prepared things to begin with a white-black split. The white polish that I use is technically an off-white, but it's my go-to from Cracked Crinkled Linens. And then the black that I use is from Bee's Knees Lacquer Void. And typically for these swatch videos with the white and black, I always put a coat of top coat over this just to help prevent any of the black polish from potentially smearing over into the white. So as I'm swatching these out, what I really want you all to focus on are focus on not just the color differences that you see, but also differences in that flake density, which you'll notice. Now, I'll say disclaimer with the KBShimmer one, you can probably see in the bottle here how much of this I've used. So I'm trying to take out the brush in a way that would really be representative of exactly the same way that it would be if this were coming out of a full bottle, so that you can see the correct density there. So here is Take It or Leaf It. Okay. Yeah, and I can say that from, you know, back when I had this as a full bottle, what you're seeing here on the nail, despite what I mentioned about, you know, the difficulties that can come up when you are swatching from a bottle that is about halfway full, this is still representative of that. You can see that it's very evenly distributed here. It looks great over black, both black and white. Let me swatch out the others too, and then we can really do some comparisons. Next, Cracked Pile of Leaves. Okay. Okay. Now, as I'm doing this, you can probably already start to see these differences here in flake density. I'd also say that as I'm swatching this out, I think a difference that I'm noticing with Pile of Leaves, in addition to adding in some of this pink color shift that I mentioned, I'm also seeing a little bit more gold present there than what was in the KBShimmer. Okay, and last is going to be BCB Lacquers Come Little Children 2.0. By the way, this one I don't believe is still available with on the BCB Lacquers website, but the reason why I'm still including this in here is that if any of you happen to have similar flake toppers in your collection that are of this density, hopefully this will give you some ideas for how to use it. And you'll see what I mean when I talk about density here, right? Like, so and y'all, this is just me like doing, like, I have not returned that brush to the bottle to come back for more. This is just how it comes straight out there. So what I'm saying is, like, if flake density is something that wasn't on your radar already, it could very well be the case that you, for example, set out to buy a flake topper that has the density of the KBShimmer one, but then you end up getting something that is more like the BCB Lacquers one. And so what I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but what I am saying is that it's important to understand what you have, what you're working with, and know when it might be better for you to use certain types of toppers in various situations. Because if we take a look at like how the BCB one is showing up over even just white and black, like let's say I wanted to have something like the KBShimmer, like, oh, I like white nail polish and I want to have a nice fall like moment there and like make it feel like the leaves are falling, but not too many leaves. I would probably go with something like the KBShimmer, maybe the cracked, pushing it, but at least to me, like I would not wear this as just a straight up topper like that. So with that being said, how do I personally like to use these kinds of flake toppers? Well, let's, for one that is with the lower density, like the KBShimmer here, this is one that I prefer to use as just like a classic topper, where I just want some flakes on top of something underneath it. And, you know, because I love shimmers, I couldn't just do a cream polish. I wanted to show you all how this looks in a more elevated way, where I'm starting with a yellow cream. This is Color Club's Fun in the Sun. And then I have put on top of it, ooh, this is like halfway through. See, this is what I mean when I say I love shimmers. Like, I use shimmers a lot. This is Fancy Gloss's Let It Glow Red Pink. And why I paired these two together is that it kind of gives the feel of like a nice sunset moment here. So let's say I've got this as my background, and then I want to follow it up with Take It or Leave It. Okay, let's see how this goes. Like, it's so hard, you know, when you start to get to the bottom of a nail polish bottle and you're like, am I picking up anything at all? Okay. Like, do you see the vision there? It's just like a nice fall day. I think that this kind of combination could be a fantastic summer to fall transition combination, where you still want to have some of the brighter colors of summer, but you're acknowledging that you're moving into the cooler fall months. And why, another reason why I love adding a shimmer into this is because it helps to give an additional glow that like bounces off of the flakes there. It almost looks like a laser pointer is happening or something. It's lovely. So that would be my recommendation for how to use something like Take It or Leave It. Puns are hard. Take It or Leave It that has a lower density of flakes. Now, moving on to something that has medium flake density, like Crack Polish's Pile of Leaves. This is something where you can see how, as a topper, for my personal taste, it's a bit much there. But where I do find that I get a lot of great use for multichrome flake toppers that have this amount of density is to use them in a jelly sandwich. The jelly polish that I'm using here is Cert Colors Jade Jelly, which, I mean, is exactly like what it says. It's a jelly. It's jade. Here we go. And okay, so let's go ahead and put this here. So I've put down so far 2 coats of jade jelly as my foundation, and now I'm putting Pile of Leaves on top of that. And you know, you could stop here, but you could also do it as a jelly sandwich, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. I'm going to give this a second to dry. While that's drying, let's pivot over to our highest density flake topper, the BCB Lacquers one. And like, what can we do with that? That's still going to give us some good use out of it, but in a way that like allows us to really make the most of what we're using. Because, for example, if I wanted to use this one as a topper, like over this yellow and red shimmer combination, based on what you're seeing here on the white and black, I wouldn't really be able to see anything that's underneath that. So what I typically do when I use that one as a topper I pair it with something underneath that's like a matching kind of color. In this case, I'm using a dark brown cream polish from Mooncat called Kafkaesque. I've put this down in, I think, 2 coats. And now I'm going to put this over here. And we're going to build this up, and I'll show you where we're going with this once it dries. So here, I think a tip for working with high density flake polishes like this, just usually one dip from the bottle is more than enough, and you just want to be very mindful about how you just kind of like level that out. Okay, we're gonna come back to that. Now, returning to our pile of leaves in the middle, for the jelly sandwich portion of this, we're going to just go back over with another coat of jade jelly. Now, be mindful that jelly polishes are intended to be buildable. And so depending on your personal preference, if you are still wanting to be able to see, a great deal of that color shiftiness that's underneath, that's in these multichrome flakes, you don't want to build up your top jelly layer too much. And so this is where I feel, even for myself, someone who does a lot of swatching, quite often, I will often like practice out on swatch sticks or a swatch wheel first to make sure that I can use just the right amount of top polish on this. So let me show you. So this is all that you need here. And where I say practice like evening out what you have on the nail without needing to go back to the bottle and dip in and get more. Because if you do that, what that could potentially do is, or what that almost certainly will do, is build up that top layer of jelly polish in a way that will make you see less of the flakes underneath. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I went extra slow, extra intentional there with it. And yeah, what you've got there is something that is a combination that I feel is very similar to what you often will see from many indie nail polish brands would sell something like this, just like a single like bottle of polish on its own. And so instead of needing to go out and buy additional polishes, if you have multichrome flakes, a multichrome flake topper, and you have jelly polishes, you can create something like this yourself. So that was pile of leaves and jade jelly. Now let's go back to our BCB one here. And I have decided to do a magnetic polish on top of this to give it some more like visual interest. And, oftentimes if you are using a magnetic topper over something, you can put it over a cream and that works. But if you're wanting to go a little bit further with that, you can do what we've done here, which is you start with the cream, then put on a super high density flake topper like the BCB Lacquers one, and then you got something like Scorchy from Crack Polish here. I know this one also recently sold out in their latest sale. If you are looking for a pretty close dupe in the meantime, I can also recommend Starly's Magma. I know that one comes at a slightly higher price point, but if you are looking for something similar to this between now and when Cracked is able to restock Scorchy, that would be my recommendation. So I am going to use a bar magnet here. Wow, that looked really like aggressive, just coming in from the side like that, like, ooh. I'm just extra silly today. Okay. So I'm going to magnetize this. And I will say, honestly, at first, when I thought about pairing these together, I'm like, why would I do that when Scorchy is kind of orange and this is like orangey brown? Is this just going to fade into this? Check this out. And I say this as someone who does not often like wearing like warm toned nail polish. Let's see. Okay. Right, and I know you can't see this yet, but underneath the magnet. Magic is happening. And as I'm magnetizing this real quick, I will just say that, be on the lookout, coming up on my channel soon-ish. I'll be doing, the next part of my series on my favorite nail polishes is going to be my favorite magnetic toppers. So if you've been curious about that, I've got a ton of them to share with y'all. And here we go. This is like, I was joking with someone who commented on one of my videos the other day, and they were like, I thought you were going to say that that nail art was going to go to the club. It's like this ongoing joke we've got on my channel here, because whenever there's something that's extra sparkly, my instinct is to say it's going to the club. This is a potato going to the club. I swear, in the best possible way. This is a potato that was just like, yo, let me just bling out and be extra like gold and gorgeous today. And I just love this. And so why this kind of combination works, in my opinion, and why I recommend this, is that when you are using a Multichrome Flake topper that has such a high density like this one, the Come Little Children 2.0, this is where you want it to be so packed in there that when you put it on the nail, that background is just like uniform there. You can absolutely do this with lower density flakes as well, but I feel that the end result is just so much more effective when you are using a higher density one, because it's almost like you end up with this gorgeous repeating pattern in the background of flakes in a way that you don't necessarily get with the lower density ones. So from these so far, I really hope that you're starting to get what I'm saying here, which is that there's, we all have different personal preferences as to what types of flake density we prefer. But I hope that, if you are someone who does have a variety of these kinds of toppers in your collection, now you're starting to get more of a sense of what are some of the things that you can do with them. Okay, before I show you these in other lighting, I will say that my recommendation when working with flake toppers, I almost always use a glitter grabber, like Glisten and Glow's glitter grabber here, to smooth out the surface first before I then go on with top coat. And then also for something like the BCB here, where I've done a magnetic topper over that, in this case, I think that adding on the magnetic topper in a way kind of functions as its own like smoothing layer. So I'm not going to put the glitter grabber on that one, but what I am going to do is always with magnetic polishes, I will be putting on the DRK Magic Effect there to give a more crisp magnetic line. And so we're going to take a look at these and some other lighting and then go on to the next group of toppers. These next three polishes are in more of what I described earlier as being like jewel tone, blue, teal, purple, everything in between. Before I zoom in to take a closer look, we've got KBShimmer, Yes Weekend, Atomic Polish, Arsenic, and then BCB Lacquers, Garden of Shadows 2.0, which came from the same collection as the other one from BCB earlier in this video. I don't believe that this one is available anymore on their website, but as I mentioned before, I'm including it to help you all see what you can get out of similar polishes that have a similar kind of flake density. So just like before, I want to take a look at how these compare first in terms of color. So just from this viewpoint, I can say that the KBShimmer on the left is the one that appears to be the most purple leaning. I was about to say that as well for the atomic in the middle, but what's interesting is that as I'm looking through my phone from above, the phone view shows this as appearing more like green and teal, and that's what you all will therefore be seeing as you're watching this. But when I look at it from a slightly different angle with my eyes, I'm seeing it more purple. So like probably if I angle it a little bit, see how it appears more purple from there too. So multichrome, woo. And then on the right, we've got the BCB one that I would say is more of a more green leaning. Like if I compare if you just look at like the green factor of the atomic on the left and the BCB on the right, hopefully you're seeing what I mean about how the atomic has more bluish teal, whereas here I feel like it's green grass. But again, a lot of this can vary just from the angle and that you're looking at it from, because of the fact that these are multi-chrome toppers, and that's part of the magic. So let's start by swatching these out. And you know, spoiler, I've ordered them in the exact same order as what we had from the brown ones, where we're starting with the lower, the least dense flake density all the way up to the most packed. So here is Yes We Can. And I'm filming this on a Saturday, so I can say yes we can. Ooh, this felt like the longest week ever for many reasons. Okay, this one I think is very similar to the other one from KBShimmer. What was that called? Take It or Leave It. I think that Yes Weekend might be even more sparse, but in a way that I like personally when it comes to using a topper. And just gonna wiggle this around a bit so that you can start to pick up on like just how color shifty this is. Okay, let's move on to the Atomic Arsenic. Okay. As someone who is a huge musical theater person, and also who lives in the Chicago area and is a huge fan of Chicago the musical, every time I use this one, and you know, it's called Arsenic, Cell Block Tango, there's a line in there that says something like, some people just can't hold their arsenic. Okay, so very similar in terms of color in some ways. I mean, I'm definitely picking up on a lot more of that teal that's coming through in the color shiftiness. And part of it, I think, is that, you know, with this and with any multi-chrome flake topper, really, the more flakes that you have packed in, I think the more of that shifty color you'll be able to see. Now, flake density, you see the difference there? This is I love both of these, but as you will soon see, for using them for different purposes. And then the BCB Garden of Shadows. I think this one is very appropriately named because y'all will see in just a moment, it feels like a garden when you put this on a nail. So once again, I'm only dipping in the bottle once for this, and then bloop. Yup. There's a lot going on here. So let's spread this out a bit. Yeah, it actually, it took me a while to figure out exactly how I wanted to do this video in a way that wasn't just like, so here's this one, here's that one, and here's that one, you know, because it's like, I realized that there was a story here, but it took me a few extra days to really just kind of sit and think, okay, how do I want to present this in a way that's going to be really helpful and meaningful? And I'm glad I did. I reworked the planning for this video quite a few times, and I'm really happy with how this turned out because, yeah, you can absolutely see the difference here in density, and also I think a little bit of color too. I think it's always interesting to see
how different makers choose to go in terms of like, do they want their multichromes to lean more purple or more green? You know, I think that's just part of the joy of multichromes. So with that being said, let's transition over to how I recommend using these. And just like before with the KBShimmer one, because that is the option here that has the lowest flake density, I suggest using that as just a classic topper, but in a way where you are getting a little bit more visual interest. So this icy swatch here is actually a combination of two polishes. We've got a cream. This is from Blank Beauty. It's called After Party. And I have put on top of it Hollow Tacos, Celestial Light. So I decided to pair these two together because I think that the overall color scheme just is very fitting together. And then, I mean, you could even just wear this straight up as like its own thing. But if you wanted to take it a step further and add in a little bit of a different type of color family to give some contrast, that's where we're going to come in with KBShimmer's Yes Weekend. Ugh. That was just like a genuine reaction sound for me. Like I've tested this one out before and I knew how this was going to look, but okay. Look, y'all know how I get. Sometimes I want to paint a picture. So here's a picture. It's cold. You were just inside the club as a potato here, right? Right? Okay. But now you have gone outside and you got hit by a snowball. So you are now an icy potato. But wait, it's New Year's Eve and the ball just dropped and now someone threw confetti on you. The end. And yeah, that is just, I really love this here. And what I'm saying is like, because I love the underlying color combination here of After Party plus Celestial Light, as much as I love putting Yes Weekend over top of that, I still want to be able to see what's underneath, which is why I would not use, for example, the BCB topper over this, because you just wouldn't be able to see any of it. So moving on to our medium option, this is where we're gonna once again do a jelly sandwich. So I've started here with 2 coats of a black off black jelly polish from Blank Beauty. Again, this one's called Charcoal Custard, and I've put this down in 2 coats for our initial base. And I'm like, if I seem a little bit like jumpy here, it's because I've got a number of polishes around me on my desk, and which I always do. But the thing is, typically when I'm filming these videos, the polishes that I'm pulling in for different parts look very different from one another. And today they don't. So I'm like, I've been extra hesitating to be like, okay, let me make sure I'm pulling the right one out here. Okay, we've got the Atomic. Here we go. So here is Arsenic. We're just putting this in here as our jelly, the middle of our jelly sandwich. Again, you could leave it like that if you wanted to, but we're gonna let this sit for a moment and then come back to it and seal it up. And then for doing the same thing like we did before with like our magnetic option, I'm starting our third one here with Fancy Glosses Phantom, which is just a stunning like indigo polish that I think why I'm choosing this one and not just doing a magnetic topper over black is that I want to show you all how this kind of multichrome topper can work well, or even better than it, not even better necessarily, but depending on like, let's say you love the purple aspect of this multichrome polish, right? This multichrome topper, and you want to amplify that a little bit more than you might be able to in something like just putting it over black. So that's where you can put it over something that still is very dark but has like a purple, for example, color component to it. So here is the BCB topper. And here what's happening is that you know, it's just kind of like sinking in there, and you're getting this, I'm getting the purple, I'm still getting the teal, but it's like in a way where if you wanted to mix things up a bit and not just have it over black, this is just another option there where, you know, you can still see that indigo peeking through from the fancy gloss that I put this over. But if you were hoping for something like what we had with the KBShimmer experience here, you just wouldn't be getting that in this example. Okay, so let's go back to Arsenic, the atomic one in the middle, and finish up our jelly sandwich by doing another coat of Blank Beauty's Charcoal Custard. Okay. Okay, here we go. Once again, same advice applies as far as when you are doing the top layer of your jelly sandwich. I really encourage you, just see what you can do with just one, like by using the polish that you're able to pick up from just one visit to that bottle, because otherwise you're going to build up that top layer of the jelly polish in a way that could potentially start to obscure what you've got underneath. And yeah, that is such a stunning combination here, where you have enough flakes here to be able to see like that multichrome shiftiness, but I love that it's also sparse enough that you are also able to like see through, which is what you often want to do for a jelly polish. Okay, and so then for our magnetic piece of this, at first I thought about using Scorchy again, because it's Scorchy and I love it, but I thought about what I said earlier in that I was comparing it to Starly's Magma and saying that, you know, these two are not direct dupes of one another, but, you know, if it's the case that, for example, you were already going to place a purchase with Starly and you're like, oh yeah, I missed out on Scorchy, I just want to put Magma on your radar as something that could be a possible alternative. So for this one, I'm going to use Magma instead so that you can see how that one goes. So we've got our Fancy Gloss base, we've got our BCB topper over that, and now we're following up with Magma. And, you know, unlike what I just said about working with the topmost coat of a jelly sandwich, I do encourage you, when needed, go back to the bottle and like put more of the of a magnetic topper on, within reason, of course. You don't want to like overly flood your nail, but putting on more of that, I feel, can help to ensure that you've got some good distribution there. And oh, this one is just so beautiful. I know you can't see it yet, but I promise. Ta-da! Oh, it's let's just look at this for a moment here. Just admire that. See, this makes me so happy. And see, it's like, I know I sound like a broken record, but I really hope that you all are taking away from this that, like, let's say you bought a flake topper that was more dense than you were hoping for, and you're like, oh no, I don't know what to do with this. The way that I've been able to find some really good use here is in these magnetic combinations like this, because it just gives the most stunning look. And especially as you start to rotate this around, and I think this will probably pick up even more so when I show this swatch and some other lighting, getting that additional like purple element from the purple polish that we use in the beginning. I just love all of this. Okay, so I'm gonna put some glitter grabber top coat on these, and then we're gonna move on to making a flake topper. And hopefully I don't get flakes everywhere. We'll see. right, I am very excited to see how this next piece is going to turn out because I'm combining more colors together for this than I've ever done for a single topper. So we'll see what happens. I'm starting with Glitter Unique's mica pigment suspension base, which by the way is pretty much like, now I just use this to refill when I run out of glitter grabber because it's basically the same thing. And for my own personal preference with consistency, I do start with a few drops of thinner. The one that I've got is from KBShimmer here. And let's do a few drops. And I like to do this at some point towards the beginning, just so that I don't forget to do it. And also because when I'm mixing up my own polishes, I find it tends to be a little bit easier for me to ensure that I've got the thinner more spread through when it's in like a little mixing cup like this than when it is in the actual polish bottle. So I've got this as my little bottle that I'll be filling up in just a moment. Got a piece of plastic on there. Let me take that off. Okay. Now, here's where the energy of this section is probably going to be a little chaotic because as I was trying to figure out which colors exactly I wanted to blend together, there are 6 of them. So we've got purple. Let's see if I can do this in some kind of like order. Okay. Purple, fuchsia, orange, gold, emerald, and blue. So let's do these one at a time. And because I'm combining 6 different colors in a single 15 milliliter bottle, you can probably imagine that I'm not really going to need a whole lot of each one. So as I'm pulling over my little measuring spoons here, I'm using the tiniest option, and I'm just gonna put in like, even this amount might be too much, so I'm just gonna shake it out, and just about that I think is what I want. And you know, when you mix your own polishes together, especially if it's something where you're putting in just like flakes or glitter, whatever, you can always change up the weighting of how much you're putting in there. So like I'm, for example, going in for like a pretty much even distribution here, but let's say you really like fuchsia a lot more than the other colors. You can make yours be more fuchsia leaning instead of being even. So a little bit of fuchsia. I'm so excited for how this will turn out, especially as we're heading into like spring and summer. Pro tip, make sure you completely close up your polish baggies or your supply baggies right after you finish using them, because I promise the stuff will get everywhere. I mean, it already is getting everywhere in some ways, but that's part of the fun. I just have glitter everywhere where I go. Okay, here's a little bit of orange. Okay. And so far on my swatch wheel, I've only swatched out the white and black to start with, because I don't yet know what kind of color I might want to put this over. So I'm kind of just gonna have to wait and see like what speaks to me. Now these gold ones are like micro shreds, so their shape is going to be a little bit different than the other ones, but I still do want to have some gold represented in there. Okay. And as I mentioned before, even though these are not like color shifting flakes in and of themselves, what I'm hoping is that I'll end up getting some color shiftiness anyway, because of how many colors I've got packed in here and how they will hopefully like play off each other. Okay, and last one is blue. Yeah, if you're new to polish making, hopefully you're seeing from here that like, even if you were to just use just a single one of these colors to make your own topper, a little bit goes a very long way. Like, you know, that was one of the things that was so surprising to me when I got started with this. Okay, also look at, I'm just, we're just gonna roll with that. Okay, so now I am going to mix this up, and I'm not sure if this is going to give me the kind of distribution I'm looking for, but you know, it's going to be our starting point. My hope is that this is going to be more on the consistency of like the low to medium kind of variety. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Yep. That is kind of nice. Okay. So that is looking good. And do I need to add anything else in there? Nah, that's good. So now is always the fun part where I go and pour this in. And I've said this before when I've done the polish making video section, but like, often the advice that you're given is to like gently squeeze the edges of this together, and it creates like a funnel in the middle. But y'all, I've tried that before, and I think I got a little too eager because then I ended up with like a split down there, and it just got messy. So I just do it in a way where it starts like a stream, like a little waterfall stream from above. What do I want to call this? I don't know, like party in a bottle or something like that. I don't know. Okay, almost done. And there we go. All right. So let me put that to the side. And there is our topper. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna put this on everything now. Okay, so I'm a mom. Let's go to our swatch wheel, refocus, and see how this goes. Now, I decided to use this in the mica pigment one, or the mica suspension base, rather than the other one that I have is the glitter suspension base, which tends to be used for, well, when you put glitter in there, because that's like heavier than flakes and needs that kind of suspension. What I'm hoping is that this is, you know, it's kind of, you know, a little looking cloudy here, but I'm hoping that it just appears that way in the bottle and isn't really cloudy when I actually use it as a topper. If it does turn out to be the case that it seems to be cloudier than I'd like it to be, then I can always go back and use the other one, but I think that this should be fine. Let's see how this goes over white and black. Okay, also is just making sure anything is even getting picked up on the brush, because I've had that happen before. Okay, so excited. Okay, see, nothing got picked up. That's okay. That's okay. Let me maybe like roll this around a bit. Okay. Sometimes it takes a bit just for stuff to really get picked up on there. But as far as, you know, the being clear, that I'm happy with that. It's not showing up with any kind of color on here. Come on. I'm wondering, oh, there we go. Okay, so this is an important part of, you know, the polish making process, where you kind of ask yourself, as you're testing this out, are you getting the result that you are hoping for? And if not, what potentially needs to be changed? Now, I'm seeing a lot of the gold, which, you know, makes sense because those were smaller and that probably packed in more there. But I'm not seeing nearly as many of the other ones. But at the same time, I don't want to overload it. You know what? Let's just do it. Okay, so gonna do a couple things here. Let me just go ahead and I think I'm just gonna swatch this out on white, probably for starters, because it's picking up okay over black. I think I have a pretty good sense of how it looks over black, and I'm leaning more towards wanting to see it over lighter colors anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going here so that once I finish putting in some more flakes, that'll be dry and ready to go. So put this to the side and go back over here. Yeah, so I'm basically just gonna empty this back in here and go back in and put more flakes in. I think that I'm good with the amount of gold micro shreds that are in there, but I do want to bump up the amount that's in there for all of the other 5 colors. And, you know, I could have kept it like this and say, you know, I can just put on multiple coats of these of this polish when needed, but I do want this to be one that I would be able to just use right out of the bottle for the kind of density that I'm going for. I can't believe, like, for as much as I've been talking about flake density, y'all, I accidentally overcorrected and this was not dense enough. So we've got purple. I'm just doing this in any order now. Flakes are just everywhere. Reminds me of just how sometimes when I'm wearing like sparkly sequin stuff and then my husband is driving us places, he will later in the week, he'll like find random sequins just in the car or in his car. It's in my car a lot too. Okay, orange. This might be a lot of orange, but let's go for it. You know, this is part of the fun of polish making. You know, you just try and mix things together and see what happens. At one point, I actually thought about the question of would I ever want to open my own nail polish brand? And it's still something I go back and forth over. If I do ever decide to do that, I don't think it would necessarily be in the way where like it would be a shop that's like constantly open, but more of like if I feel inspired to make some polishes that I think other people might enjoy, then I might have a limited window of that or something. But again, that would only be if I feel like creative in that regard. I will say that I've been finding so much creativity in this YouTube channel and finding so much joy in having this be an outlet for me to engage with this hobby, to share it with all of you and to learn from all of you and to teach in this way. Okay, this looks a little better, I think. Back to pouring it in. Okay. And because I put thinner in earlier, I don't need to do it again. I think that it's still at a good like viscosity for what I want. Oh, gotta make sure that mixing ball plops in. It plopped on the outside. I am just a mess today. Okay, there we go. All right. So let me wipe this off a bit. Okay, so this looks a lot better, I think, in terms of giving us more flakes in here. So I'm probably going to, oh yeah, you see the difference there with how many came out on there? So let's mix this up a bit. Just gonna swipe out on the, yeah, that looks better. Okay, here we go. All right. Just little things everywhere. I am just, okay. Let's try this one more time. That is better. And you know, as with any time of making a new polish, it can take a bit for that brush to really feel like it's able to like be submerged in the polish, and especially when it needs to pick up something like flakes, for it to do that in a way that's consistent every time. But this was the vision. Oh my goodness. Okay, so obviously I don't want to just stop here. I want to do something else with this. I'm going to pause, think of some color combinations. I'm going to do like two combinations of like a shimmer and a cream, and we'll come back and we'll try this out. Before we go on to these final 3 swatches, I just want to show you a bit of what I have done here for these 3. Let's focus. There we go. Okay, so for all of these, I have put on a glitter smoother and top coat so that you can see how that looks. And I've also gone in to do a full swatch over black. And I do love also how it looks over black, but I think that my personal preference is how these colors just pop a lot more over a lighter color. So moving on to what we've got here is some 3 very different base options. The first one is I started with a neutral nude light brown cream polish, and then on top of that I put Fancy Gloss's Let It Glow red pink. And what I'm hoping to have here is that seeing how I might be able to get some more use out of the more neutral colored polishes in my collection by maybe like doing what I've done here, which is like combining with the shimmer, and then maybe putting this kind of flake topper over it. So let's see what happens. Ooh, I like that. Okay, yes, that is really, oh yes, okay, I need to stop with putting too much of this on, but that's good. Yeah, that I think could work really well. I love that combination of something that is more of a neutral color and but still getting some shimmer on that, and then you've got color there. Oh, okay, yes, that is Olivia approved. Going on to our next option, I'm starting with Cirque Colors Retail Therapy, and then on top of that I put a blue shimmer topper using Emily Damali's Key Drama. Now this combination here, I wear this all the time on its own, just, you know, hot pink cream polish, blue shimmer on top of it, you're good to go. And what I'm hoping to get out of this will be that maybe this new flake topper will give it even more of a pop, like if I'm going to a party or something like that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't stand out as much as it does over more neutral backgrounds, but that's okay. I think, yeah, so what I'm seeing here is like when why is nothing wanting to stick in this like one spot over there? What is that? Come on, go. Okay. Like if you look on the brown one, you can look at just about any single flake here and be able to identify exactly which color it is. Whereas here, I struggle with that. I feel that it's only on the larger pieces, like I can tell that that's green. I can tell that that's orange. Y'all, I feel like I'm at the optometrist again. But you know what I mean? Where like, if I'm going to be wearing a topper that I've intentionally made to have all of these different colors together, I want to be able to more clearly piece out what those are. And so because of that, I think that, yeah, that definitely explains why I was more drawn to it over here, like on the white with the brown. The pink, it's just not the best one for me personally, but hey, that's why we're testing this out. Okay, this last one is the wild card of the 3. We've got Mooncat's Star Destroyer, which, Okay, please let me know in the comments if you all have been experiencing this too with your Star Destroyers. I think it's just a common issue when you've got these kind of like metallic like polishes that can sometimes tarnish over time. Like mine is taking on more of a yellowish tint to it than it was when I originally had it, when I originally purchased it. And so because of that, I'm wanting to try and find more ways to get more use out of this bottle of polish while it is still looking somewhat silver. The last time I can remember wearing this was probably, oh goodness, way back when I went to the Beyonce concert, the Cowboy Carter tour. I'll probably put a picture up in here so y'all can see. You can't even see my nails in this picture, I don't think. I'm just showing you all this picture because it was a really cute outfit and I had a little cowboy like fascinator in my hair. It was a great day. So anyway, it's taking on a bit of a yellowish tint, which you'll probably be able to pick up even more when I put this in some other lighting. But for now, what I'm hoping is that putting some flake color over this might help me to get more use out of it. Okay. Y'all know how I get when I'm trying to compare things, right? This is like a Chipotle burrito that went to the club. Tell me I'm wrong. That is a Chipotle burrito. It even has the texture of it, and it went to the club. But the question is, do I like this more with, did adding this flake topper like make this better? I think so. I feel like I still haven't figured out fully what my preferred option would be to wear Star Destroyer. Let me know if you all have found any good uses for this beyond just wearing it straight out of the bottle, because I just feel like, yeah, it was a perfect silver when I went to the Beyonce concert, but now I just haven't been reaching for it, but I do want to use this up before it gets tarnished even more. So ooh, okay, let's go ahead and as always, glitter grabber, top coat, other lighting, and then we'll get wrapped up.
So that was quite the journey, and I am still covered in flakes, but that's fine because I really had a lot of fun with this video. Like I mentioned at one point in the video, it took me a bit of time to figure out exactly how I wanted to plan this one once I saw that it wasn't going to be as straightforward as saying, here's this favorite multi-chrome topper, which is radically different from that one, and so on and so on. And I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I hope that you all took a lot of great advice and tips from this. I'm curious to hear if any of you have favorite multi-chrome toppers that multi-chrome flake toppers that I might not have covered, because you saw that my KBShimmer, for example, Take It or Leave It one was getting pretty low, and because I don't often order from KBShimmer, I'm trying to decide if like I want to just use like the cracked one as my next go-to option for that color scheme until I maybe place another order to get one at that flake density, or maybe I'll just make my own. I don't know, but I'm always on the lookout for other options that I might not be aware of. So as always, thank you all so much for being here on this channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.